Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to an HD tutorial, and as you guys probably all know already, StarCraft 2 did have a balance patch released, which was patch 1.1, and with that release, I've decided to start playing ladder a little bit more. I think I took like a 5-day week break or something, as, you know, I was really busy doing commentaries and, you know, other real-life stuff, drinking too much. But yeah, we're going to be looking at a tutorial video. This is fresh off the new balance patch, and I guess we could talk a little bit about the things in the patch. Namely, Terran Reapers have been reduced in terms of damage. Siege tanks have also had their normal damage reduced. Their armor damage still remains the same. I don't completely agree with the Siege tank change. I think Siege tanks were fine as they were, but I really do think the Reaper change was quite necessary. Really makes 5-Rax Reaper much easier to deal with. And there's a couple other changes as well, but I'll probably save that for another discussion whenever I have free time. So this is going to be a Zerg versus Terran tutorial, and as you guys all know, my favorite race is Zerg. That's the race that I practice and play with the most. And Zerg versus Terran is kind of similar to Zerg versus Protoss, at least how I play it. I really like Mutaling, and Mutaling is still very effective against Terran as well. What you want to do is get Speedlings, go to Mutas, and then drop your tech down to Banelings. Banelings are so good against Terrans, especially when they have that big bio ball moving out. The Banelings are a billion times better than any other unit you could possibly wish for. They seriously just exterminate bio balls, and they are a core opponent, essential key to winning in Zerg versus Terran. Mutas also are very important because they allow you to control the map, so you really do want to get up to layer and get your Muta tech as soon as possible. Now, as you guys can see, I did send out a scouting drone. I usually send that out right after my 9th Overlord. 9th Overlord meaning at 9 supply. And then right at 14, you want to drop a gas. The reason why you want to drop a gas at 14 is because you're going to want to rush speed tech. And why do you want to do that? That's because a lot of Terran players still use Reapers. I'm not sure how often it's still used nowadays after the balance patch, but I still think they're very, very powerful, and you need Speedlings to deal with Reapers, as well as any kind of an early Marauder Marine push or anything like that. After you get your 14 gas, you'll drop down to 13 supply, go back up to 14 with a drone, and then drop your pool. So 14 gas, 14 pool is a very standard, very solid opening against Terran, and it's extremely powerful, namely because you're going to get speed out, and it's going to allow you to deal with almost any Terran threat in the beginning. So as you guys can see, around this time, you want to get an Overlord at 16, and you want to just keep pumping drones. Keep pumping drones up till around, I think, 21. But the important thing right here is to pull your drones off gas. Notice how I'm pulling my drones off the gas as soon as you get up to 100 gas. And the reason why you do want to do that is because you want to get speed, but you don't need all that excess gas. You'd rather have the 3 drones that were mining gas on minerals instead, because at this point, after you get speed, you're not going to need any more gas. So little things like that are what make a big difference at high level of play. And this is I'm currently ranked like 1050 in diamonds, so I mean it's somewhat a high level of play, not like, you know, pro level or anything like that, but little things like that really do make the difference. Now, as you guys can see, getting a queen as well as soon as the pool finishes, and then I like to get my hatchery down on the 21 supply marker, which you guys can see at the top right, 21 supply. First queen comes out, inject larva, and you do want to get another queen out as soon as possible. A lot of players underestimate the power of queens. Queens are a very, very good unit. As if you guys saw TLO versus Damaga in game number 2 in that series, you guys saw how good queens really are. They're great defenders, they're excellent on creep, and they're a vital component to Zerg defense early on. If you can't afford spine crawlers, can't afford speedlings, get a bunch of queens. They can spread creep, they can inject larva, they can defend, especially against air. So I am getting a second queen out. I have started to refine that gas, refine, whatever you want to call it. My drones are back on the gas because you do want to get up to layer tech around, after your hatchery goes down, you want to start mining the gas again, and you want to get up to layer as soon as possible for those mutas. Mutas are so key against Terran because if you don't have mutas, you're not going to have map control, and the Terran can freely feel confident to expand, go anywhere they want, and you want to stop that. You want the Terran to sense fear. You want him, or not sense fear, but you want him to be feared of you, and you want him to be scared and stay inside the base. Force him to build turrets. That's always great. You know, those are 100 minerals apiece. So as you guys can see, getting up my layer tech now, get the second gas down after the layer starts morphing, and of course, as you guys can see here, moving my Overlord in, you guys can see my opponent is trying to get a double Stargate on me. And this is very important to scout around this timing, around 35 supply. The reason why you want to scout is because, like you guys just saw, I saw a double starport. What does that mean? That means my opponent's most likely going to try to mass Banshee rush me. And that already sets off a key indicator in my head that I'm going to need a ton of queens until I can get up to layer tech and get mutas out. So as you guys can see, pumping excess queens out of my natural expansion, gonna start to pump a queen out as soon as my layer is done, and just getting as many queens as I possibly can. And another reason why you want to scout around 35 supply is a lot of Terrans like to do a 3 racks, just mass Marine Marauder attack, and you have to be able to scout that out so that you know to throw spine crawlers. Since I scouted out a double starport, I'm not going to throw down any spine crawlers. I know the threat's coming from the air, and so I'm just going to get as many queens as I possibly can. Excuse me, dyslexia there. Another thing is, yes, you want to get an Overseer as well, and this is because, you know, the Banshees might have cloak, and obviously you'll need an Overseer because Overlords got demoted in StarCraft 2 and they don't have detection anymore. So, as the Spire is morphing, you do want to get 2 more gases on your natural. You do need 4 fully mining gases in order to fund Mutalisks. Otherwise, you're just going to really run low on gas. And you guys can see now I've got a ton of queens, 2 at the main and 3 or 2 at the nat. And here we go, gonna try to attack, and unfortunately he has 2 Banshees. He will be able to snipe one out. I didn't have enough energy for Transfuse, I did try. But with my backup queens coming, I'm gonna be able to fend this off. And why was I able to fend off the Banshee harass? Because I scouted, I sent an Overlord in, I sacrificed it. Might have cost me 100 minerals and maybe a little bit of a supply block, but it saved me the game. If I hadn't seen that double starport, I would not have had these extra queens, and I probably would not have been able to get up to Muta tech. He would have just sniped the Spire, sniped a bunch of drones. I would be way behind. So as you guys can see, this tutorial really demonstrates the key importance, the fundamentals of scouting, as well as showing how great queens are. I mean, they're good units. So, as you guys can see, my timing's a little bit off here. I should, right when the Spire pops out, I should have enough larva and resources to pump, you know, 5 or 6 mutas, but that's a little bit off. My opponent's also trying to be funny here, build a bunker there, okay. I can take it out, obviously, with queens. They do pretty good damage, and I'm just going to start to pump out my mutas now. This is where I want to focus all my production into Mutalisks. As you guys can see, I'm getting a little gas starved. I really need to, you know, build up that gas. My opponent, for whatever reason, is just throwing random buildings. This was really